Chapter 13. Talon drifted on a wave of near sleep brought on by the herbs Anna had given her. She walked among the stars in the sky, between a large figure eight and a platinum dragon. Why did Paladine adopt the form of a dragon? The dragons could be corrupted. Paladine should know that better than anyone. The constellation of the platinum dragon moved across the sky. It walked to the figure eight and twined itself about it. Then the platinum dragon tucked its tail under his chin, so he formed a figure eight with his own body. His head turned toward Talon, and even though there were no stars to form his eyes, Talon knew she was being watched. "Why do you fight us?" Talon could not see the mouth that formed the words, but she knew they came from the dragon, from Paladine. "I do not fight you, my lord," she said. "I only wish you to remove the dragons from this world, like they were before." "The dragons are my children, as are you. They come and go as they are needed," the platinum dragon said. "We don't need them any more. Can the Whitestone Council convince them to return home?" The platinum dragon laughed with a sound like church bells and rushing water. "You seek to convince a dragon to do anything? You have much to learn. Too much for you to separate from your dragon companion now." "She is not my companion!" Talon shouted. "My dear, are you all right?" Yana rushed to Talon's cot. Talon lay in the cottage, with her wounds treated and still not hurting. Talon tried to remember the fleeting images of the dream, but all she could recall was the image of a dragon coiled into a figure eight. "I'm fine. Only a dream." Yana opened her mouth as if to say more, but a loud knock on the door echoed through the cottage. "Who can that be? Everyone knows not to bother me when I have a patient." Yana hurried to the door. Samil's large bronze form stood outside, blocking the midday light. "Ah, you must be Talon's companion," Yana said. "She isn't my companion," Samil and Talon both said. Yana laughed. "Whether the two of you like it or not, you are companions," Yana said. "Some power higher than the both of you has determined that. I won't speak of this with yet another human." Samil rolled her eyes, which made her huge head bump the door jamb. Talon yelped. "That's not why I knocked," Samil said. "There are some people here to see Talon." Talon sat straight up in bed. Was this a trick? But no, there was Elred and Rama behind Samil. What a relief to see familiar faces. "Move, you great beast," Talon said. "Let them in." "A simple thank you would have been nice," Samil grumbled, but she stood aside to let Elred and Rama enter the cottage. The two of them raced to Talon's side and embraced her. "Now, now," Yana said, pulling them away from Talon. "Even if she feels no pain, crushing her will not aid her healing. Sit down and talk to her like civilized beings." She pulled up two light cane chairs and pointed to them. Elred and Rama sat down meekly. "As for you," Yana turned to Samil, still standing in the door, "there's no room for you in here, and I need my door. If you'd like to join the conversation, there is a window right there." "Oh, no," Talon began, but Samil interrupted. "Thank you, I think I will." She disappeared from the door, and moments later her face reappeared in the window. "Forget it," Talon said. "Elred, close the shutters." Elred moved toward the window, but Samil growled, and he stepped back. "Why can't I listen?" Samil pouted. Talon sighed. Given the dragon's sharp hearing, eavesdropping would be ridiculously easy. "Will you be quiet while we talk, at least?" Talon asked. "Perhaps," Samil grinned. "Please?" Talon asked. She groaned and turned to Elred and Rama. After spending so much time among strange faces, they were a most welcome sight. Talon explained what happened. Samil filled in some details, but Elred and Rama were silent until they had finished their tale. "I have never heard of such a thing," Rama said. "Never in all the stories." "Me either," Elred said. "I've heard of strange things from seafaring folk, but nothing like this. You have no idea how you can break the spell?" "None at all," Talon said, leaning back on the cot. "We hoped that Ilstan might be able to help us, but we ended up here." "A shame one of the clerics didn't come with us," Rama said. "They could have healed you." "How did you find me? We didn't leave a trail, or at least not until we got off the mountain." "Well," Rama began, filling with one of her spell pouches. "We wanted to find you, but—" She stared at the floor. "Rogan said it was a waste of time," Elred finished. "He said the dragon would have killed you, and we'd best continue to the Whitestone Council." Talon gaped. Rogan was fanatically dedicated to the heirs of Huma, but to cold-heartedly abandon her. Your parents were very upset, Rama said quickly, seeing the look on Talen's face. Elver and I promised we'd find you. I used my magic, and he used his tracking skills to pick up your trail. It was easy once Smil wasn't able to fly. Elbert looked up at Smil and mused. It doesn't take much skill to spot where a dragon landed in a field. Smil reached through the window and thumped him on the head with one claw. Smil, stop that, Talon said, then turned to Elbert. Thank you, Talon said. I'm very grateful. The others headed to the council, Rama said. We hoped to meet them once we found you. Talon nodded thoughtfully, wondering how long it would take to get to Palanthas to have the spell removed. Could she make it back to the council in time? It seemed impossible. One thing about Elrond and Rama finding her suddenly struck her. Rama, she said, I don't know how to say this. She trailed off, uncertain how to ask without offending. I mean, don't think I'm not grateful, but you've never been the outdoorsy type. You've never even left the caravan before. Wouldn't even go hunting. Why did you came? A blush traveled up Rama's neck and spread over her face. Rogan is starting to frighten me, Rama said. He was different when we first met you, Talon, but now he's obsessed with banishing the dragons. I fear he's no longer in his right mind, especially now. In your absence, the heirs of Yuma look to him for guidance. I fear that he'll try to wage war on the dragons, not petition them to leave. No one can win that war, Elrond said. We barely survive a war with the chromatic dragons. We need you back, Talon. Talon sighed. She wasn't altogether surprised to hear about Rogan. He was a strong leader, but he also was prone to raving, and Rama wasn't the only one who had been worried. And Elrond was right. A war can never end well. Rama fiddled with a bag she carried. Talon thought she was merely fidgeting, but then Rama drew forth a battered volume from the bag. Ever since I saw the pendant you wear, Talon, I couldn't shake the feeling that I've seen it before. I began to look through the books I brought from home. You brought books? Elrond exclaimed. We told you to travel lightly. Rama glared at him. These books contain a lot of lore about dragons. I thought they might be of some use. Rightly so, Talon said. Elrond It isn't like she brought her whole wardrobe with her. Have you looked in your wagon? Elrond asked. Quiet, Samil roared. What is with mortals and your petty bickering? Allow the girl to continue. Rama flipped through the book until she reached a page marked with a long satin ribbon. Holding it up so they could all see, Rama pointed to a sketch, a whole piece of jewelry that was definitely formed by the two pieces Talon and Samil bore. Both Talon and Samil bent closer to the page with a gasp. I knew I've seen this before, said Rama. I searched through all my books and found it in this book about Huma. Huma, Talon said. Elston said this jewel belonged to Huma. But how would Samil's mother get the other half? My mother gave it to me, but I don't know where it came from. Samil's eyes clouded and she stared at the picture. Talon hoped she wouldn't cry, for any tears would splash down on the bed where Talon was laying. Talon, you know the story of the silver dragon? Of course, people insist on telling it to me to show that dragons can do so good in this world. I don't know the story, Samil said. Which silver dragon? The book doesn't give a name, Rama continued. However, she took human form and met a knight named Huma. They fell in love and could have lived together in this world happily. Happily with a human? Samil snorted. Silver dragons always were a bit strange. Rama ignored Samil. At the same time, Tahisis was trying to take over the world. Huma was offered a choice. He and the silver dragon can remain in this world and live their lives, but the evil dragons would remain. Or he could be given the Dragonlands, and he and his love could fight Tahisis and drive the evil dragons from this world forever. He chose to fight Tahisis and drive the dragons from this world, Talon said. He kept Kryn from the mortals, not the dragons. Once the evil dragons were banished, the good dragons left to keep the balance. That's why we call ourselves the heirs of Huma. You named your group after a man who loved a dragon, Smil said. I knew humans didn't always think clearly, but that's not the point, Rama snapped. Elrond and Talon stared at her. I found something about this jewel. It's a star jewel, often exchanged by elf lovers forced apart. It forges a link between their souls, allowing them to share each other's emotions, even when half a world away. Lovers? Talon and Samil both looked like they had eaten lemons. Elrond snickered. Rama shook the book at them. Don't you see? I think you're wearing a piece of the star jewel that the silver dragon gave to Huma. Everyone gaped at her. Talon found her voice first. That's absurd. Is it? Rama asked. Ilston himself told you your jewel once belonged to Huma. It would explain what happened to you both. Really, what do you think would happen if two beings with no prior connection, who hated each other just because of what they were, wore two halves of the same star jewel? Samil blinked very slowly. This makes sense, but how do we undo the switch, now that we know it occurred? That I can't say, Rama said, closing the book with a soft thump. I've been through the books twice and can't find anything about a spell like yours. As soon as Talon can travel, we'll continue to plant this, Samil said. We'll come with you, Elred said. I don't want more mortals tagging along with me, Samil glowered at Elred, but Elred no longer seemed as cowed by her. They will come with us, Talon said. What if I'm hurt again? You can't heal me, and you can't bind a wound with your claws. Fine then, let's bring the whole village with us. Samil turned from the window and stomped off. Talon flopped back against the pillows. I can't wait to be rid of that beast. End of chapter 13.